What is up, people? Yo, welcome back to Bite the Bullet. If you haven't noticed, the intro's changed and there's a few modifications to the show. In fact, I think they're all nothing but improvements because I got three awesome people that are waiting in the back that have agreed to join me as hosts, and we are going to start doing panel conversations and topics. And these people, they bring the funny, they bring the intelligence, and dare I say, all of them, they don't look half bad either. You know what I'm saying? So, let me go ahead and start bringing some people forward. I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to go ahead and bring some of the ladies into the house. We got my girl, Miss Strong Talk. She's independent. She's strong. She do her thing. She's blunt as I don't know it, and you better watch it because when she switches that language, you don't know what she's saying. It's about to go down. What is up, Trish? Yo. Also, we got my girl, Christina, who is, y'all think I bring the energy? No, wait till Christina comes, because, she's also independent. She's also strong-willed, and, she is the hype girl like no other. Let's bring on Christina! And dare I say, he might be last coming onto the stage, but this brother is like no other. He's strong. He's our security. He brings the funny. Dfactor. What is up, my dude?
Oh, what's up? What's up, man? How y'all doing? How you doing? Trish, you're muted. That's why we couldn't hear you go, ah! But let's go, people. Y'all not ready. They not ready, Jay.
They ain't ready. I know. They ain't ready. They ain't ready. They ain't ready.
Especially for you all are welcome. Panel, the good looking panel. I appreciate that part, man.
I'm on top now. I'm on top now, G.
Is that where you like to be, girl?
Yeah.
I know, right? Power top, power top right there.
You heard the initial she said, so.
I'm gonna say that's what I'm saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of Bite the Bullet, we always handle the tough topics and tough conversations. So, moving forward, it's going to be no different. In fact, today, we are going to start it off like no other. Because in places all around the world, and particularly in the U.S., racism is as American as apple pie. From slavery to the Trail of Tears, from Asian internment camps to police brutality. And now, a rise in Asian hate. So, I'm proposing to the panel, how do we stop and or prevent these attacks? And how do we create unity in a world with racism?
Ooh.
I know, right? I know.
So I'm gonna go ahead and bite the bullet on this one. And so, man, I think I just got a different outlook on it. Not that racism doesn't exist, but yeah, it's more than an American problem. It's a world problem. I was in the Navy for 20 years, and I've visited so many countries, so many continents, and I saw how different races interacted, and it didn't matter what color you were. But here in America, I tell you, it's much, much tougher because all it takes is one leader, and we know that leader just left the White House, to spark an outrage against a certain community. And right now it's just ugly. Like, how can you build a mentality to believe that a certain race created a disease and it's their fault, and you're pushing people to bully those folks? I mean, I understand that during World War II, there was also Asian concentration camps here on American soil. But at the end of the day, man, is the human race intelligent or no? Because sometimes some of the things we do, I don't think we are the most intelligent race out there, man. We're not the most intelligent species. And I'll drop the mic right there.
I honestly, I don't think in my lifetime or my kids' lifetime we'll see a lot of change. I think one of the things that I believe America needs to do is to finally recognize that America is built on slavery. It was built on racism, right? Yeah. I think that's the foundation of America. I think in order to solve a problem, you actually have to actually recognize the problem. And I don't think they embrace it or recognize it. They try to sweep it under the rug. I think what we really need to talk about is the Asian racism that's been happening a lot lately. I mean, it's been happening over the years, but I mean, I've been hearing it a lot more on the news, and it's not just because it's on the news, but the things that I'm happening or that I've seen, like some of the videos. Just I think we're filming today's Tuesday, so just on Monday, there was I think a Filipino guy who got assaulted really badly on New York subway. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw the clip.
He saw the clip. It was really, really bad. Yeah. What is striking with a lot of these videos, the people who I see assaulting these Asians, quite a few of them are also minorities themselves.
Yeah, which shocked me. I don't know. There was a video that I saw, or actually earlier today, of this man attacking an elderly lady in front of the building, and it happened to be a person of color. And I'm like, not that people of color can't be racist or can't hate groups.
But look what's been happening in the last year, like especially in the last year, right? That is what's been bothering me when I look at some of these videos. It's like, what it's like to be, to be frowned upon because of your color, because of your differences, or because you're not white. And here you are. Like in Canada alone, I saw on the statistics that since COVID happened, there's been over 1,000 self-reported incidents of physical and verbal abuse to Asians. And I mean, that might not seem like a lot, but it to me, it is like just
the fact that it's happening, period.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with you too, Trish. I think that when it comes to racism of any sort, it's about having conversations. Like, how do we have healing conversations with each other? Because what happens is there's so much self-righteousness when it comes to anti-racism, right? Well, it's like never right in the first place. It's never okay to be racist, whether it's within your own race, against a different race. Like, it's never okay. But how do we come together and create dialogue with each other so that we can help? Because there's no understanding. You can't understand something that you are not, right? So when we're having a conversation with someone of an opposite race, let's say like a white person, you can't have a conversation and expect an understanding, because it will never be on the same
level. It will never make sense. Yeah.
Ever. So how do we get to a place where we acknowledge that this is actually happening? Because I will tell you, I had a conversation just today in a messaging with an older white woman who literally said that she does not believe in white privilege at all.
And see, I think that's a part of the issue, because a lot of people, because it's not happening to them, because it's not in their environment, they believe that it doesn't exist because they aren't privileged to it. Like, they don't suffer the way everybody else suffer. Just because, like, if someone gets robbed around the block, so you're telling me robbing's not real because you didn't get robbed? And it's that mentality that's just like, you don't believe it because you don't see it. Like, you're not around it. And I don't understand that part of it, because there's no empathy. There's, like you said, Christina, there's no understanding whatsoever. And I have to admit, a part of me, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, because I'm always saddened when I hear about people being taken advantage of or beaten, or particularly unjustly. And to see all the love and support that's coming around the Asian community, I'm happy, and I'm so excited. But a part of me is like, where's this love for a lot of the other people of color? And I only say that because I had this moment where I was like, how could you even think that? You swear that you're a person who wants understanding, and that you want, we lost D for a second. I don't know where D went, but you're supposed to be a person who's tolerant and wants everyone to accept the problems that are happening to people of color. And my Asian brothers and sisters are people of color, and things are happening to them, and you have these emotions. And I had to deal with that. And I think a lot of people in America, particularly white people, aren't having that same thought process. And I tend to wonder, is that because they don't have to go through the same things that people of color do?
Oh, sorry, Christina, go ahead.
No, go girl, go girl.
I wanted to just go back to what you said about the Caucasian woman that you spoke to or was messaging. To me, that's pure ignorance for a white person to say, because I don't care which area you're from, you know that there's white privilege. You know that white people get the better jobs, the better acting jobs. The society, like, to me, that's ignorance for someone to say. And I know what you said, that they probably weren't exposed to it, but you see it. It's to me, that's common sense. I know common sense is not very common, but it's blatantly right there. But go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say that I agree that, yes, it is complete ignorance.
Yeah.
The issue is that a lot of people really don't see it because they live in certain type of bubbles
I guess.
that stuff doesn't come into their cipher. You know what I mean? Like the news that they watch, they don't see what we see. The TV shows, they're oblivious. They live in these lifestyles where that kind of stuff doesn't come in. And when it does, it gets filtered through these lenses of life is rainbow and sunshine. And the only reason why your life is happening that way is because you haven't pulled yourself up by your bootstraps and pushed forward. You're just complaining.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I have a lot of Asian friends. Some of the best people that I know, I love Filipinos because they're very, very family oriented. Very, like, I love that about them. Food is friggin' off the hook.
We be feeding you all.
Oh,
we be feeding people.
I know.
Oh yeah, I love my Asian food. Most definitely.
Yeah, man.
Most definitely.
Filipino food. Oh my word. But anyways, what I was trying to say is that I think a lot of people don't realize that this has been happening for such a long time. But Asian people are very, I don't know if the word is reserved, but they don't speak up as much as they should have. I think if they were speaking up as you would see what's been happening in the last year.
Is that just Asians or is that all immigrants?
I think, to me, like, from when I spoke to some of my friends, they said that, you know, in their culture, so, you know, whether it be Japanese or Korean, it's to be humble. And you know what, they don't want to bring certain attention to the family, or they don't want to be the one that that has to be out there talking about it. It's just, you know, they keep it in, they deal with the hurt. And I mean, I don't think maybe everyone does that, but majority of the people that I've spoken to, that's what they've said to me.
Yeah, and I can totally back that up for sure. Filipinos, especially just in my culture, we're definitely not people to cause a scene. Like, we don't want to bring attention to ourselves. We don't want to overtalk our elders. We don't want to be like the black sheep, like the disruptive crew, right? So definitely backing that up just from my experience in my own culture. I can't speak for everyone, but another thing I wanted to bring up too was, like, I also don't want to single out all white people, because I definitely
no. There's some allies.
Oh yeah,
absolutely,
of course, yeah.
because it's not all white people. When we reference white people, I hope that the audience understands too that we're not just saying, like, we're not, you know, and like
humans.
adding to the race
whole, you know.
Yeah. So I did want to address that and just make sure that people also understand, like, when we say white people, it sounds like we're generalizing, but it's the same way we're talking about anti-hate and anti-hate and Asian race and black races. It's like, it is a generalization, but also know, like, deep in my heart, I don't feel like it's all of them.
Well, Christina, I think you. Oh, sorry, Trish. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, here's the issue, and we're talking about how we have to talk about it, but how we can, you know, make this better. But here's the issue that I'm having with, I think they said like 90% of these incidents are happening in public around people. And if you look a lot of these videos, even you can go as far as looking into the death of George Floyd. And although they were cops, people were standing around and recording. But what does it take? Like, he died. What does it take for people to jump in? Like, I think people are so scared because now I'm hearing people saying, okay, I don't know what they have on them. I don't know if they're carrying a piece. I don't want to, maybe I'll get killed in the same breath. So it's like these things are happening in public in front of so many people. And yet, look at that guy on the subway. Christina, if you saw that clip, like, I had to turn away.
There's no way. Yeah. There's no way.
See,
I was broken over the Atlanta shooting, like, broken. I literally had to take time off of social media, completely disconnect, because literally just killed me on the inside.
Yeah, when you read about the woman, like the grandmothers, the mothers, the owner, like, I was, yeah. takes you.
Yeah.
Trish, I think you bring up a good point though, because a lot of times, like it's particularly in these videos, you'll see all these bystanders not jumping in, not saying anything, not doing anything. And I get it, because like you have that self-preservation. You don't want to like get involved because you don't, first of all, you don't really know what's going on. So you have to assess that. Then the fact of you don't want to get yourself hurt. You don't want to be in it. So I get all of that. But when are we going to start understanding that silence is compliance? When we don't do anything, that makes it that much worse. That means
we
we're
just stand there with our phone recording.
You're part of the problem.
Yeah, you're part of the problem.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think I can stand there and watch an old woman being hurt. Like, seriously? No
way.
Exactly. Like my wife fusses at me a lot of times because I'm that kind of person. I'm not trying to make myself sound like a big shot or anything, but like there's times where like I could see somebody littering. I'm literally that guy that will go pick it up and either throw it in a car or throw it in trash. Like I do that. Like when I see people in trouble, because that's just my nature, because I'm just used to doing that, because I don't like things being wrong. Like it infuriates me when people push themselves or their beliefs onto other people, particularly when it's something that's injustice or just something that's completely wrong. So I'm with you, Trish. Like I couldn't stand by and see an elderly person or just anybody getting beat unjustly.
D, I gotta go under the table for a second.
That's a whole nother private conversation. Do me and Christina need to like get out the way for a second?
I literally had to go under the table for a second.
Oh man. Wow.
Well, let's bringing it back to, I think, a really big important thing to address when it comes to healing within just races in general is understanding that there's underlying ancestral baggage that we carry, and healing comes from generations before us, right? Like we only know what we know.
Wait, the healing or the trauma?
Well, both.
I would
trauma and healing, right? Yeah. Like you only know what healing is when you identify what the trauma that inflicted you to initiate the healing, right? So for me, it's like go back to that Atlanta shooting, right? For me, it's like the only thing that helped me really wrap my mind around it is how sad it is for the shooter to have felt so ashamed by whatever sexual injustice he felt with himself that he had to shoot up a specific race. So somebody taught him in his life that his feelings of sexual feelings against a specific race was not okay. And that's the problem. So wherever it's trickling down, we get to love on people and ask them like, why, where did this start? And that's where it starts. It's within the home. So how do you start addressing it in the home?
Honestly, I think it just goes way back to mental health. I think mental health is just downplayed so much, and it's frowned upon in so many cultures that there are just so many people out there with so many issues that just needs to be addressed. And that's one of it. It is so much healing and so much, just being transparent. And you know what, for us as a culture, as human beings, I think as human beings to recognize there's nothing wrong with getting help. There's nothing wrong to admit that, you know what, you're going through a mental health problem, because it's such a huge stigma in society.
Well, here's the thing though. A lot of people don't know they need help. They don't realize they have a mental issue.
That's the thing. They don't know because it's been normalized. A lot of things have been normalized.
And here's the other thing about like racism. I truly believe that people who are racist don't think they're racist. They really don't.
Oh yeah.
Even if they can say out their mouths, "Oh, I hate black people. I hate Asian people. I hate whatever the color is." They don't feel they're racist, because for them that is a belief system that just ingrained inside their system. Because a lot of times, like I want to say there was a study done back in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, that showed like reformed KKK members, and the common thread between all of them was that they were looking for a family, they were looking for a unit, and they fell in line with this gang KKK, and they felt that all their problems were because of another group. If it wasn't for that group, they would be perfect. They would have a happy life, and everything got displaced and blamed somewhere else. So for them, they don't see themselves as racist. They just feel like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to reclaim whatever it is they're trying to get.
Right. So, and check this out. So even if I teach my son racism, with to hate a certain group, and he wants to think otherwise, there's always a media outlet that will show him otherwise, regardless of how positive, you know what I mean? Regardless of how positive a certain nationality can be, all the media is going to show is the negative side of it. So if I want to tell my daughter that, let's just say I'm not black, and I want to tell my daughter this race is bad. Watch this. Hey, let's go check out the south side of Chicago. Look what they're doing to each other. Let's go to the south central of California. Look what they're doing to each other. Let's go to Africa. They're macheting each other. So there's always some type of media out there that can prove the idiocy, whatever word I'm trying to say, that a certain race is bad, because there's footage, there's material, there's something out there. And for the black community, we always got to go, well, they treated us like slaves, they done this, they always try to conquer all over the world and take over and take over and take over, and they're the only ones that can smash babies against rocks. Because I read this book called The Third Chimpanzee. And it's talking about the root of evil, and it's talking about Britain and all of them going to Australia and Tanzania, and they have a mentality in them to where they don't care if you're a different species, a different color or whatever. They do not care. They will kill off your race, and I don't know where that comes from, man. I don't know what that comes from.
So I just wanted to also simplify it as well. So in the Caribbean, and this, I'll tell you, I think it's the words and the things that we're used to saying. We don't realize how we ourselves sometimes say things that hurt people, because going back to the Asian racism, like in the Caribbean, we have a lot of immigrants, a lot of Chinese, and they own a lot of restaurants, they own a lot of groceries. And first thing we'll say is, oh, we're going on my Mr. Chin, and that wouldn't be his name. His name might be Peter, but every Chinese person named Mr. Chin in the Caribbean, right? Or we'll say, oh, we're not eating from that restaurant because they probably have cat or dog for meat. So little things like that, and I hear people saying it up here too, or they'll talk about noodles to them, or they'll do their eyes like this to a Chinese person. Like, I've seen it, like I've literally seen it. And the thing is that we don't differentiate from who's Chinese, who's Japanese, who's Korean. Or who's Filipino. We just say they're all Chinese. And to me, that is so ignorant. And that is right. And it's very racist. And it really hurts them. And I've spoken to so many people about this. And this is something that I would not even have known, because when I was growing up, I would hear, oh, we were by Mr. Chin, or, they eat cat and dog, or whatever the case may be. But as I get older and I have so many different friends and different nationalities, I don't see color, that you learn these things, right? And these are things and these are just simple little things that we don't realize. It's not just with the Asian community, but that was just to simplify it.
Even with black people, when you say, oh, they like chicken and waffles, or watermelon, or watermelon.
Actually, don't say we do, because honestly, I do not like watermelon. I tell you now, I do not like it. I hate eating. I do not, and I'm vegan. So when I say that, people are like, "Wait a minute, what?" So there's all these stigmas that we just see.
You're an exception. You're an
exception. But you're right, Trish. I think it's important to be mindful of how are we using these stereotypical grammatical things that put people in boxes and make them, put them in these categories. And it's like, when you are aware of what you're saying, I mean, I do it to myself. I'm like, when someone's like, oh, you figured out that math form real quick, and I'm like, yeah, I'm Asian. Or if I'm driving poorly, I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm an Asian driver. It's like, yeah, I even do it to myself. And it's like, okay, girl, you can't be dumbing yourself down. But we do it in a way where it's kind of like, oh, comical. Like, we try to relate to other people and dumbing down the things that people joke about by joking about it ourselves. And that's I think that's a level of ignorance in my own self. And again, it's like having these conversations and having friends and people that support you enough and love you enough to be like, hey, you don't got to do that to yourself. Call me forward,
Or it depends on the
So-
circle that you're in.
Okay.
It depends on the circle that you're into. But I think it's being aware of it. I just think that you just need to be aware of where and who you're doing it with.
Great. D, what you got?
Here's the funny way of looking at it, where they don't even realize how they think. So, and when we say they, we know who exactly we're talking about. So, if I say, "Hey, yo, have you seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?" They'll be like, "Oh no, I'm not into that. They're flying around, they're doing this, that. That's impossible." And then they'll turn around and be like, "Hey, did you see the new Spider-Man?" Like,
but he's doing the same thing.
he's doing the same thing, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But if an Asian dude is doing all this stuff magical and it's entertaining to most people, you think that's dumb.
Yo,
but
I love me some
Spider-Man,
Silver
Incredible
Fox,
Hulk,
man.
Captain America, all these superheroes, oh my God, they can make millions of dollars.
I know.
As long as you're not a different nationality, it's not
And
crazy.
have you looked at a lot of these actors? There's not. I don't think I could recall any Asian leading actors in any of those roles.
Lucy Liu,
They're
though.
trying to do
Lucy
one.
Not
Liu
yet.
came out with
Not yet.
Charlie's
Right.
Angels.
Lucy.
They're trying to do one in DCU.
Okay,
but
they're
trying to
trying.
do it
They're
like-
trying, but
Exactly.
listen, I think in
Right.
in Marvel, who one of the characters was supposed to be Asian, and they put
he's coming out. He's coming out next year. I don't remember actually the name because I'm sorry, I'm
the
slipping
one
on
who
my
does
comic
the
book stuff.
portals. Oh, the one who does the
Doctor
portals.
Strange.
Yes, Doctor Strange.
He's not Asian though. No,
No,
he's white.
it's the white
the other
lady who's
guy.
bald. The other person.
I know who you're
The
talking about.
you know
I
who I'm
see what you're
talking
saying.
about.
Yeah, his mentor and teacher was supposed to be
Was
Asian,
supposed to be-
and
yes.
they recast that
As a white
character
woman.
as
It's
a white woman.
bald woman.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
That happens all the time in Hollywood, and I'm honestly
Avatar.
glad that Marvel and a whole lot of other people are trying to change that hard. But I want to change because Trish, you brought up a good point. What are some tangible? This time she did. What?
Girl, you
How
always bring up good points. These men don't know.
what are some tangible things that can help us create unity in the world with racism?
Honestly, I think for me, the biggest thing for me is that the curriculum in schools need to change.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I know that we spoke about this and they say, no, there's so much history to teach, but you know what?
Yeah.
You start from grade 1 or you start from kid the same way how this is something that needs to be taught, and it's how you teach it. I just think that the curriculum has been the same for how many years. We need to change this up and educate our children.
Oh, we're still on an industrial age school system, and we're already in the digital age. Like it needs to change years ago.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a
That's
lot
one
of
of
things
the
in school that need to change.
Hmm?
I say, yeah, that and a lot of things in school need to change.
Oh yeah,
like I really need to learn how to go through life. Like
100%.
finances, credit,
Financials
everything.
big. Financials is so big.
Like I don't give a damn about how you figure out a triangle. You know what I mean? Like I've yet to use that today. You know what I mean? I've yet to use geometry. Or
no, it's 100%, and it's the same thing that I see with my kids. Like, I want them to learn about the stock market. I want them to learn about how to write a freaking resume. Like I know I think they started doing that as well in business classes.
I'm glad you brought that up. I got something for that.
These are things that these are life skills that these kids need. They don't even know how to. So a lot of these kids don't know, but I think for racism or even the way how we educate our children, because ignorance comes from lack of education. We need to educate them, and not based on the history that you or the politicians want them to learn, but we need to give them the nitty gritty of our history.
I agree with that. The only issue that I have with that personally is that trying to change that system is a huge mountain to bear, right? Not saying it's not doable, but that's a very huge mountain. So honestly, one of the things that I think of is representation. And I don't mean just simply throwing people of color everywhere just because. No, we need to actually have characters that are well developed and that are fully formed, and just they are all facets of people. We need evil people, good people, funny people, serious people in every aspect of media, TV, film, wherever, there needs to be a diverse panel. And it's not so much so my son can see another black person on TV. That's not it. If a white person or other people, other races can see people that don't look like them acting like they do, that breaks down every single barrier that you might have or that you think is of your perception of that race, right? At least I think. What up, D? Raise your hand like you in school. What's up?
I'm raising my hand, trying to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I feel like you're about to disagree with me.
No, I'm not about to disagree with you at all, my brother.
Okay.
Everything you said is right on. The only color that no one can beat ever is green.
Okay. True.
Money. If you got a network and you want to show a certain thing and you need sponsorship, money. Right. You won't get your show on the air without sponsorship.
True.
Green controls everything. If Marvel wanted to make all their heroes black or Asian, money would disappear. Money controls everything. And all you got to do, like, let's say, like we always talk about lobbyists and things like that. Lobbyists in politics, lobbyists, money. Till we can beat that green color, man, it's going to be hard.
But it's a cycle, though. It's a cycle because we're still the ones that goes out and buys the shirts and buys the dolls and the figurines and stuff like that, right? So
we're still contributing.
So
we still contribute.
We contribute. So we help for that. We help that green. But right. I mean, and you know what? I remember with my daughter, I hardly bought a lot of her dolls when she was growing up because I wasn't able to find like mixed or colored dolls and stuff like that, right? A lot of the dolls she got was presents. But when you talk about representation, I totally agree with that because we don't see a representation in a lot of things. So like toys, not just in movies and stuff like that, but in toys, in even in clothes, right? Like you don't even get to see a lot. You have to actually go into like Little Italy or Chinatown to get stuff like that. But these things should be made available, you know, in stores because we're multicultural, especially like in big cities like Toronto or New York. You should be able to walk into. You don't have to
Target. Do you guys have Target?
Like little things like that. Yeah. Just like, you know, like.
I agree with you completely. Like, my kids just went clothes shopping, and they went to some certain stores. The stores will remain nameless. Yeah. But they went in and until they sponsor us. So the stores that they went into didn't cater to their body types, and it's only because they're kids of color. You know, like every picture. I mean, they had pictures on the wall that were diverse. I'll give them that. But the clothes type were like 0 to like 6 for girls. Guys were like, I think the larger it went was like X or maybe an XL. It didn't make the hips, they didn't fit right. Like the booty it just wasn't good. Right? Exactly. And part of that is also the problem.
Yeah. And exactly. That's why the minorities had to create their own clothing line. Because I can't go to Express.
Saying minorities anyway, because if you think about it, like minorities
we are the majority, baby.
Majority because
it's me.
Way more like Asian, Africa, like we are
Indonesia,
South America, like we're way more prevalent.
Absolutely,
and it's funny that we call them minorities. Do you know what I mean? Like even that language.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I feel that is something that was. I feel like that was something that was left over that we are still currently using. Because think about like back in school, I don't know if you all remember, but I remember looking at the map on school and seeing that the U.S. was big. The North American continent was bigger than everything else, right?
And it's not.
And for years, they just started changing that, like what, 5-10 years ago or something like that. That now Africa is like how it's supposed to be. And I think that's one of the things too, that minority, like we still use that because we believe we're minute and we're really not, particularly together.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah, when you look at a global stance, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think another thing to incorporate into how do we change, and you were talking about educational systems and how we teach our children. I think also just piggybacking off of what Trish said, like adding mental health, adding mental health education into our earliest childhood. It's like, if I would have known different things to be aware of about what it meant to tune into my own body and what I was feeling, so that I could bring awareness into that and ask questions, like have a platform to ask questions safely without judgment, that would be such a big difference. Again, it just comes down to this open dialogue. Like, how do we have an open dialogue about emotions and our feelings?
There definitely should be a course in elementary school, middle school, and high school, and even college that teaches people how to self-love and mental check all that love. I'm so glad my kids are homeschooled, so they both had to take emotional awareness and some other mental health courses in through their school, but that isn't in public school. A lot of kids don't get to know. They don't learn how to meditate. They don't learn how to like self-check and realize when they're upset. They may not know why they're upset, but to acknowledge that you are upset is a huge thing, particularly in people of color.
I'm not laughing at the situation, but I'm just laughing at growing up around my dad. My dad was hardcore. Dropped out of school at 8th grade. All he knew was work. His mother kicked him out of the house around the same age. So my dad was tough. When I say tough, I mean tough. You shut the hell up when he came around. You know what I'm saying? So I could imagine me having some mental health exercises and stuff. And my dad is going in. I was like, wait a minute, Dad. I need to go meditate right quick and get my mental health so I know how to absorb how you're treating me.
Right. I'm not laughing at you, but I see the picture in my head. So definitely.
Yeah. So, what do you have mental health? You have bill to pay? Because that's what you have bill to pay. Hey, you work 10 hours. How much hours sleep you get? That's what I told my kids these things because these are the things I heard like on a Saturday morning. I'm like, listen, did you work all week? You get up and clean the house. Like, what do you mean you want to sleep? What do you mean you're tired? That was me, right? Like, so I get it, and it's us too as adults. We need to recognize this shit too,
especially.
But at the same time, the mental that my dad put through has created this man you see before me. So now all I know is how to be hard on people and how to have people walking on eggshells, and it's not fair. And me and my brother talk about this all the time. Sometimes we have to catch ourselves and be like, yo, don't be like Pops. Like, the kids are going to make mistakes. There's going to be, like my dad, one time my dad came home and me and my brother forgot to take out the trash. But now today we understand, like my dad worked so hard because he didn't have an education that when he came home, he didn't want any stressors.
He didn't want
that's the only way, that's the only way he could unleash his anger because he couldn't do it at work. So this man, me and my brother forgot to take out the trash, and this was a trash can that my dad built. My dad was great with his hands. We didn't take the trash out, so he took this trash can in the backyard, chopped it up, and set it on fire. So if you want to talk about how me and my brother fight that type of anger, man, every day. My pops.
And that's the thing, once it's embedded in you at such a young age, it's hard to unlearn that.
But it's really good that you and your brother recognize that he was dealing with stuff and you guys are today not holding those things against him, but you're actually making better choices. Because here I thought, D, you were like a little teddy bear, but you're not. You're hard. But anyways.
I love the way Trish just said that. But D, I am so glad that you're able to recognize, what? I understand my dad had to do what he needed to do.
It's the best he did.
I love my father. I appreciate what he did. He made me who I am. However, there are certain behaviors that I don't want to pass on to my children.
Absolutely.
That's the important part. That's the important part.
That is it right there.
And the relationships. And Christina brought that up the other day, is like what you go through in childhood affects how you are in relationships today.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
1,000%.
you know we're gonna go into that. So man, we can talk all day, man.
If I can quote early Kanye West, early Kanye West. Everything I'm not makes me everything I am. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's having grace for generations before us that only knew as much
course.
as they knew. You know, just like your dad, that's all he knew. He was never shown or told that there was another way. Same thing with people now. It's like who are creating these crimes, again, not justifying, but saying that there is a reason why they're mentally in that space to think it's okay. So it's like giving them resources. How do we get more resources out to people so they can educate themselves, and we can have more platforms where we can openly talk about different things that like rock us a certain way and have compassion around it.
But
Absolutely.
it's also to us as adults recognizing, you know, the same way how D recognized with his dad and I recognized with my parents, and recognizing that certain things were wrong, or you know, that's the best they do, but I can do better, and wanting to be a better version of your parents or a better version of whoever raised you. That is optimal for us as adults as we grow.
I think we're all forgetting one.
Go ahead, Jay. My bad.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're all forgetting one huge important thing, that all four of us took the time to face the person in the mirror. We all said, you know what, I want to do better.
We have to do it every day.
Yeah.
And I think there are people out there who aren't doing that, who don't want to do that, or at least not yet.
Yeah, because they're scared to see who's there.
And I think that's the hard part with, I don't think any of us could ever change anyone. We can only control us, right? So living in a world that's full of racism, how do you deal with those people who, for whatever their reasons are, they just don't want to change? We have to control us. Right. How do we do that? I think that's the question that I don't know if we'll ever truly have a good, correct answer for.
So I know for me, especially having kids, like I have 2 boys, and they're going to be strong Black men. But my thing with it is that it's just being, I used to get really angry in the past when I see people say things or, you know, be derogatory or make certain passive aggressive remarks. But it's actually been humbling in myself and understand and trying to say, okay, where is this person coming from? Where are they getting this? Okay, you know, is it my responsibility to educate them? Like, I have to take a step back. And I think getting angry is the last thing that you need to do. It's the
Always.
last thing, right?
I think it's okay to initially feel that, but to work your way through. Yeah.
I think it's initially okay to feel hurt, because if you mix up with hurt and anger, it's a very thin line, right?
Yep. Yeah,
so for me, I know personally, I had to get over the anger part and take a step back, because really and truly, I was hurting myself and my children more by the reaction that I was reacting by my reaction. Yeah.
I mean, yes, completely. Yes. I remember there was a time where my daughter I don't even remember what she did, but she did something, and I was just infuriated at her behavior, right? Like all parents. Yeah. And I just went off on a tangent. I was yelling at her. I was fussing at her. And then God, angels, I don't know what it was. A voice was like, your father.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in that moment, I was like, honey, let me walk away. I'll be right back. Yep. I had to cool down, came back, and I apologized. I was like, look, I don't know what that was. I shouldn't have yelled at you that way. Your behavior was wrong. We'll discuss it. But I have to take a time to cool down. I'm angry. I'm upset. Let me walk away. But that took time of figuring out when I'm upset, why I'm upset, and what's going on. I'm glad I'm better at it now. But in that moment, I mean, that's still a moment where I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I was that kind of person.
I just have to look at my kids and they know.
Yeah.
Same.
My son.
I mean, you're doing it right now.
Oh no!
You want me to box you up? You want me to box your ears?
But I think that's it too. Is that people don't want to do the work. People don't want to do the work. It's hard. It's hard.
Well, do people not want to do the work, or they don't know how?
Both.
Fair enough.
I think people are just so used. It's easy life, right? I think people are just so used to. You know what? Change is hard, and it's always
memory.
easier. It's always
Muscle
easier to
memory
do the
is hard to break.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
always easier to do. It's always easier to do the wrong thing, right? I mean, or
Oh yeah, my fault.
Yeah.
right. So
You ever moved something in your house that's been there forever? Like muscle memory would still have you walking. Well, how did I keep walking over here? So for 18 years, I've been getting beat down, and now I got to try to fix that. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yo. All you
were
made me
gonna
think
say
about
something though, right, D? Were you gonna
Huh?
say something? Did you have something?
Next time.
he was just calling your name because he likes to call your name.
Christina. You know what? Hey, no, what I need you to next show, can you fix the light? Because like your shadow it's inappropriate. Your shadow is inappropriate.
Christina.
Every time you do this, Christina, do that. Your shadow is inappropriate. We trying to have a family show here.
For all those listening in, Christina's shadow looks like a very
Trish was a distracted one.
Christina's shadow on her wall looks like a very happy ghost right now.
Looks like a damn penis.
There we go. Trish said it correctly. Yes, it's definitely phallic shaped. She moves her camera so we can't see it. But yes.
Does that help at all?
We want the perverts to listen to the show and not just keep looking at the wall like
yo. Well, actually, D, I think D brings up a very good opportunity for us to segue into what is now known as the hot seat moment. D, take it away, my brother.
Man, with that type of intro, I don't know. I'm gonna come with it, but I'm gonna try.
What did he say?
Christina, being this is our first show, and we all had to try to learn each other and figure out where we all came from, right? So you spoken about with divorce and things like that. We always talk about mental health. So I want to see what's up, Trish?
You're breaking up.
We got you though.
Breaking up, yo?
We're here. You're breaking up, but we hear you still.
Oh, I can't hear him.
Christina, are you hearing him?
So I know you've been through a lot of things, and we talk about mental health and things like that. So I want to see how you feel about this quote. I feel like this quote, just from me researching who my team is, I think this quote pertains to you, and I want to see how you feel about it. All right? She is a beautiful piece of broken pottery, put back together by her own hands, and a critical world judges her cracks while missing the beauty of how she made herself whole again.
Oh, wait, Christina, before you say anything, I'm like, yo, that was not what I was expecting, D. I can't even front. Like, dang.
Did your wife give you that?
No.
Go ahead, Christina. I'm sorry.
All right. So
there's nothing like a hot seat like emotion. Go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, no.
Because somebody out there needs to hear how you overcame it. You know what I'm saying? Because if they look at your social media, you're a strong woman. And you got to realize that you put yourself back together to be that person. So the seat is yours.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for that, because I think I definitely wasn't expecting a vulnerable question. I mean, I think, when you go through a divorce, especially depending on like what kind of culture you come from, divorce is always so frowned upon. It's always like, oh, this woman, broke up her family, or she decided to have a divorce. And so you can't help but feel judged by the cracks, like you were talking about, the cracks in the pottery. And you get so obsessed with the idea that all people are going to remember me as that woman that got the divorce, right? And for me, I held strength in knowing that I took a step in a direction that was my truth. And it's harder to break up your family than it is to stay in one that doesn't work for you, or that doesn't hold you down the way that it speaks to your heart anymore, right? It's so much harder to do that, to make that decision and then have to do it all on your own. And Trish, I know you have so much on this topic too. Mm-hmm. It's like knowing that I'm actually making a harder choice to leave, to do everything on my own, raise my child on myself, and not accept, child support, alimony, any of that. And it's like, you know what? I don't care the cracks. The cracks is what gives me character. The cracks is what makes me who I am. And I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down from why I stepped out. I don't care what the religion, if it was because of religious purposes or if we didn't have this right connection anymore. It's just all about owning it and being okay with it. So yeah, I love standing in my truth now more than ever. And honestly, the divorce, being a mom and getting a divorce, honestly has given me more strength than I knew possible even before that. So
way to go, girl.
Well said.
Awesome,
Love it, Christine.
awesome,
Wow.
awesome.
Dare I
Thank you.
ask Trish,
Thank
do you have anything to add? Because as Christina mentioned, you've been through your own issues and struggles. Do you have anything to add?
I know for me, it was really hard for me, but I wanted to leave because I wasn't happy. But every time I did, I was always thinking about the reasons why I had to stay. And once I started thinking about the reasons why I had to leave, things started falling into place for me. I knew it was going to be hard, but the reasons why I had to leave far outweighed the reasons why I had to stay. And it really and truly was just one reason that I wanted to stay, was because I wanted to have a family, because I never had one growing up. And until I wanted to break that cycle. So those were the only reasons. Everything else, was pointed to the reasons why I should. So I think a lot of women stay in situations, one, because of the fear factor and the unknown out there and thinking that they can't do it. But one thing that I've learned is that things always work out. It always works out. I can't even explain how certain things fell into place for me, but I know that once I started, strengthening my faith and just moving forward, I never stopped moving forward.
Beautiful.
Agreed. Wow. Man.
That's
I don't know what to say next, man. These ladies.
I know, right? Like,
man, I'm like, dang. Wow. Okay. I don't know what to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has officially been our first relaunch of the show, and
Christina, Christina, do that shake again. Oh, I'm just looking at the
shadow.
Christina thinking like, she's looking at the shadow.
I like the shape of that.
Oh man! Wow.
Good girth there, Christina. Good girth.
Oh, wow. As you can see, this show is a little bit spicy. It's going to be a great show. We got a lot of other great topics. All our topics won't be as serious as today's topic, but this is going to be awesome. And you guys are in store for a whole lot more. Well, what's up, D? You're about to say something. I'm sorry.
So, Jay, earlier we were talking about fairness. A lot about fairness came up, and a lot about just how the society and the system is built up. So, in my mind, when I started thinking about fairness, I thought about when somebody brought up, I think it was Trish, she brought up going out and interviewing and getting a job. So I started backtracking. I was like, so what exactly is fair about writing a resume? What exactly is fair about having to get dressed up for an interview? Because at the end of the day, there could be a smart homeless guy that can't write that well and can't get suited up for an interview. So where exactly does fairness fit in to a culture that says you need to write well and you need to get dressed up in order to go to see this man for a job? Where does fairness fit into that? Because there are a lot of intelligent people out there that are homeless. And it's not fair that they can't write a resume the way somebody would write. Like, I'll pass my resume off to somebody else and I got the job. So it ain't got nothing to do with
there's a lot of intelligent people out there regardless, but this is like a whole topic. This is like,
I know.
Exactly. So before we actually head out, the only thing I'm really going to say on that is, everyone, tune in next week and we are going to discuss this highly more, because this is a very hot topic and I would love to really get into this. But I will answer your question though, because I hate leaving questions unanswered. In my opinion, I feel fairness is an illusion. I don't think there's anything fair. I believe there is equality. I feel like there is justice, but I do not think fairness is a real, tangible thing.
It's not measured
in the real world.
Right.
In the real world.
1,000%.
In my opinion. But we'll definitely be talking about that
We'll
next
definitely
time.
get to
So
that.
tune in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, all my co-hosts, is there anything anybody like to say before we officially head out the door?
Be kind.
Be kind. And
Yeah.
when somebody knocks on your door with an amazing opportunity and they have great credibility and they're a great person like Jay, hey, answer the call, man.
Stop it. Stop it.
Hop
So
in
yeah,
it.
stop it.
And
Making me
anyone out,
blush.
there too, anyone out there wants to be a guest on, or you have any comments or any ideas that you would like to hear us discuss, just shoot us an email, get in touch with either one of us, and we're down.
Most
And right now,
definitely.
I'm wearing a Virginia Legends T-shirt, so we do sponsorship as well. So you want to get your material on the show or whatever, and
okay,
just let us know. As you see,
Yes.
the legacy mug
Yep.
mug that keeps popping up, because my man Jay is an author of that said book.
Yes. So, D, you're from Virginia. Jay is from Tennessee. Christina.
Colorado, baby.
And I'm from Toronto, Canada. So any of local businesses, or even, you want to get in touch with us, just hit us up.
Word. And with that, we will catch you all later.